When it's the dead of winter and there's not much going on in the garden, one of the things I like to do is to prepare my tools for next year. One of the more important tools I use are my shears, or as they call them in the UK, secateurs. Ones I use the most probably are my Felco shears. They're the Felco No. 2, and I find them a good all-around shear to use, cutting up small branches, cutting plants down. You get some of those, like a cabbage where it's got a pretty thick stalk on it. The shears cut right through it. And the blade's really sharp, so you gotta be careful with your fingers. But I like to clean them. I actually clean them a couple of times during the year too. About 2 or 3 times I clean them during the year. Now that it's the dead of winter, nothing happening in the garden, and I'm actually waiting for a big snowstorm to come in today. So I figured it's a good time to get to cleaning the shears. Actually, as I'm sitting here, I'm seeing the very first few flakes starting to fall. Fortunately, this doesn't take very long, and it's a pretty simple process, so it's a good practice to get into to clean your tools. I do my shovels and various tools I use throughout the garden. I clean them up, oil down the handles, and get them ready for the new year. But today, I'm going to be cleaning my Felco No. 2s, and as I said, it's a pretty simple process. You don't need many tools to do this. I use an adjustable wrench, a diamond plate that I got at Harbor Freight Tools. It's just a couple of bucks. It actually comes with 3 different blades, but I use this red one here, which is the finest grit. A little sandpaper. This is 220 grit, and it's an old piece that I have, but it's doesn't really matter what the grit is on it. I said this happens to be a 220 grit. Got some shop towels, and I've got this super clean spray. It really cleans up everything. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you have to take this apart. So if you open it up, and that way this releases, and take off the spring and put everything carefully to the side so that you can put it back together in reverse order. Now this here has teeth on it, which grab the teeth here on this wheel, and that helps it close up. So you're going to want to open that up. You can use a screwdriver. As I said, I just use these, although I may get crescent wrenches. There we go. You don't have to take this bolt off. You just want to loosen it up so that you can move that little gear out of the way. And maybe I will want to take it off, just because that's on there pretty tight. There you go. Put that back in so we don't lose it, and we can just move that out of the way. Then you want to take off this center nut here. Open that up. And then you can... all these parts you'll end up cleaning. This is, in particular, isn't too dirty. Yeah, you know what? I think I will take it off, just so, I mean, you could have just slid this out of the way, but I'll take it off so that we can get down to the metal here, and then you can remove the handle. This here is the blade, and it comes off as well. You want to be careful with it, just because, as I said, the blade is still sharp. Even though it's been used a lot, still a very sharp blade. It's got a lot of resin built up on it, and we'll be cleaning that off. And you're basically done. You've taken apart your shears. Hardest part, I'll remember how to put them back together again. So they're not too oily or anything like that, otherwise I'd probably wipe them down. So we'll just start from left and go to right. And I'm going to use my sandpaper and just go through and lightly clean off the parts. On this set, they're about 5 years old. So they're not as dirty as an older set will be. But these things pretty much last a lifetime. Felco is probably one of the most quality built tools. And we can take that off too. So there's a little bit of rust built up in there. So we'll take that off. Flakes are coming down a little more. not so bad, but more. We're supposed to get about 4 to 6 inches, I think. I think it's going to hit up more in New England. And I think they're going to get 7 to 8 inches up there, if not more. Here, it'll be all depend on, I guess, how the storm track goes. That side's pretty good, and that's good enough for now. Do the same over here. I'm actually surprised there's as much rust in here as there is, only because I do oil them pretty well. Trying to think though of when the last time I did these, maybe in the spring. And so they did get a lot of use this year. There were a number of trees that were taken down, so I was cutting up branches a lot. Just go over the outside of it a little bit. And on the anvil. And go over these little parts. Like this has a little bit of rust on it, so may as well clean it off. These parts look pretty good. I'll just hit the back of this gear a little bit. A couple of the gears had a little bit of rust on them. Screw looks good. That looks really good too. And then you've got the blade. So here you're going to want to stay away from the sharp edge, and you'll see why in just a minute. But just go over. I'm just going to turn the camera here because it looks like I've shaken it. Hopefully all that was in camera that I've been showing you. With these hardened steel pieces, they clean up pretty easy. Now, if you're going to replace the blade, this would be a good time to do it. And I think you can get them right from the Felco website, although I think Home Depot and probably Lowe's sell replacement parts. I think they sell a couple of Felcos there. I think I've seen them in Lowe's, but I don't think they have the number 2 there. So again, I'm trying to stay away from the blade edge and just getting the back part here. This has to look like a earthquake on camera. And the same on this. Okay, the spring looks good. So now is where I use my diamond plate. I should have a holder, but I don't. But I just take the blade and I slide it over the diamond plate, holding it at a slight angle. There's probably an appropriate angle to hold it at. But if you just go through and rub it over the diamond, it's getting nice and sharp there. Yep, that's sharp. Remember when I first got these and I was cutting through some good size branches on a tree. I mean, not like 1.5 inches or anything like that, but you know, a good 3/4 inch twig, and these things just cut through it like butter. And now you can just take your blade and run it back and forth, just in case you get any burrs on it, and you want to hold it flat, and that'll take any burrs off. Not that you really get any burrs on this hardened steel, but. And that's all there is really to cleaning them. So what I'm going to do though is just use some of my super clean spray cleaner. If I could open it up. There we go. And I'm going to put this on and just let it sit on there for a little bit. This stuff is really an amazing cleaner. I'll put some on these little parts too. And we'll just let it sit there for a little bit, and then we'll be right back.
20 minutes later.
So I'm just going to, on these parts here, come back over with the sandpaper and just go over them again. And you can see it's already taking that extra grime off. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can get this super clean stuff. I find it's good for everything. They come in a spray bottle like I used, but they also offer it so that you can pour that out. I use this in my pressure washer, and I clean my house with it. I clean my truck with it. It's got a spray one, a spray foaming one. And it really just takes the dirt and grime off of everything. And I really only had this on just a couple of minutes. They say you don't want it to let it dry on here though. It's not, you don't have to get all that stuff off, but now just come through with my towel and just start wiping everything down. My shop cloth, that is. Wipe down the handle. Get this one. Do the blade and just be careful not to cut my fingers off. But you can see the blade's really pretty clean now, and it's sharp. Just wiping all the parts. Getting them dry, getting the super clean off, including the spring. And that's all the parts. Clean up the table here. And I'll be right back because I forgot to bring the oil over with me. Just going to use some lubricating oil. You don't need much, but I'll be right back. Okay, it's time to put everything back together again. So we'll start. So we'll start with putting the blade back on. And let's see. It goes on like this. There we go, like that. Okay, so if you see here, there's actually 3 posts sticking up. So that kind of helps you align the blade again with how it's going to go on. and it'll just drop onto those posts like that and hold it in place. But before we do that, we're just going to take a little bit of the lubricating oil and just put a couple of drops onto the base there, and that'll fit on there like that. Now then we can take the post, and put the post through, and it'll sit on there, and then this can fit on there like that. And just before we put this one on, just put a little bit more oil on top of here. And again, you don't need much, just a couple of drops. And it's got a square base on it here, so a square hole there, so it'll fit on there just right. And now you can take this piece and nope. Here you can put the screw through that little gear and just put a drop of oil in there, and then we can put this, yep, another bit of oil here and there, and then we can fit this screw into that hole. As long as you have the hole lined up. There we go. Okay, and then you can take here. You probably have a little oil on there already. Oops, not where I wanted it, but that's fine. And then here, you can screw down on there. And I put my adjustable wrench away. Hold on, trying to be too efficient in putting everything away. All right. So here, we just take this and we tighten it up. Yeah, maybe not so tight. There we go. And now we can fit this gear into place on the teeth. There we go. So that it fits right in there like that. And now we can tighten down this screw. And that comes together nice. We'll just tighten that up a little bit. Alright, that's on there. That's good. I'll just see about, make sure I've got this appropriately tight. Good. And now we just take the spring and we put this back on. And that fits on there. Might loosen that up a little bit more. Not much. There we go. Nice. Just put a dab of oil on the blade. And just a dab on that screw there. So that this I might have put that in backwards. Let me take this small screw off. I'll admit, I usually end up putting this thing back together several times because I'll usually put something in backwards. And in this case, I think I put that part there. I should have realized it because you can see it allows the tooth to show through, and that's what this piece grabs onto. And now you can take this, take that off, and flip it around like that. There we go. This will go on here like this. So it's worth taking your time and just getting it right and remembering how you took everything off and what everything looked like. Make sure those teeth are lined up and then just tighten it down. There. So now when you close this, it'll engage and hold it closed. So we'll finish tightening everything down now. There we go. Nice, very smooth. Everything's nice and clean, and we can lock them in place. So it's really not that long. That took me about 10 plus minutes to do. And that's with filming and having to run to my garage twice to go get my tools that I forgot. But you might also be able to see me. All the snow's starting to come down around me. So this is a quick project though to do. It's a good practice to get into to keep your tools nice and clean and sharp. And they'll serve you for years and years to come, particularly the Felcos. They'll last forever. But if you want to see what we're doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress of all of our vegetables as we try to grow the supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.